or from India, and they are joining our panelists are Ms. Fadia Mubarak, legal and GRC advisor of Confidential Government Authority from Saudi Arabia, Chinar, Jethwani, Company Secretary Global Compliance and Legal Affairs of Varun Beverages Limited, UAE, Sergey Konov, Regional Compliance and Integrity Officer, IMETA, Boehringer Ingelheim, Middle East and North Africa, UAE, Tala Halawi, Senior Legal Counsels from Boultz Capital, Lebanon, and the last Nishat Rev, Senior Manager Ethics, Compliance, Privacy and Company Secretary of Emirates Flight Catering Co. UAE. Please welcome the moderator and panelists with a warm round of applause. Yeah, please go. Yeah. Now it's over to you, Ms. Shuchita. Yeah, please.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So, my name is Shuchita Singhal, and I'm the CEO of Coingeit. Basically, it has a platform called as Case Talker. So now we have a beautiful topic on the panel today, automating compliance, tech, AI, and regulatory readiness. And of course, you can see experienced professionals out here talking about it. So how we're going to do about is we're going to do a quick round of introduction, and then we would start with the questions.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. This is Fadia Mubarak. I'm an expert legal counsel, governance professional, certified board secretary, and a trusted advisor to boards, executive leadership, and regulators across GCC, mainly in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia. Currently, I am the governance and compliance advisor in a newly established government entity in Riyadh. Thank you.
Good morning, all of you. I'm Chinar, currently working with Varun Beverages, PepsiCo partners, and looking after their global compliance and legal affairs, mainly for Middle East, Africa, South Asia. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. First of all, thank you for coming. It's good to see the room filled up a little bit with more people. My name is Sergey Konov. I am Regional Compliance and Integrity Officer for a company called Boehringer Ingelheim. I try to pronounce the name of the company. Actually, President Trump recently did a meeting where our company was presented together with other companies. He really failed on that task. But anyway, Boehringer Ingelheim is a family-owned company. It's pharmaceutical. It's a Germany-based company, which is still owned by the family after 140 years. And I'm very proud to be part of that company, and I'm responsible for the region called IMETA, which is India, Middle East and Africa, and Turkey. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Tala Halawi. I'm happy to be here. I'm a Lebanese lawyer registered under the Beirut Bar Association. I've worked in fintechs and cryptocurrencies, and I've written my book. I published it 2 years ago about anti-money laundering in cryptocurrencies. Currently, I'm working under Vaultz Capital, that is a financial institution registered under Canadian laws, and I'm a senior legal counsel under this company. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Nishat. I lead the ethics, compliance, and privacy function. I know from when you understand ethics compliance, all about policies and procedures that you think I would be dealing with. But what matters the most is we need to be ready when the auditors or the regulators or our leadership asks, are we covered, right? So I would say most of us here are the compliance officer. and I would relate compliance officer like a gym trainers. So what does our gym trainer says? Hey, you have to follow this. This is good for you. And we all believe that it is good, and all the employees do believe that. But it's always difficult for them to follow. We all skip some sessions, and we keep missing them till we get to know that something goes wrong, right? So as a compliance function, I've seen there are three important, I would say, tools that people rely on, and these are hidden tools. And these are like emails and spreadsheets and follow-ups. So I got really obsessed, how do we get out of this? And hence we created internally a project on how do we automate our regulatory compliance and obligation registers. And to build a system which not only, which acts like an operating system, always on and easy for business to use. So today's session, I'll be talking about how do we get our regulatory readiness? How do we approach to it? What tools should we use? And how AI can support us to ensure that compliance is not just a fire drill annually, but it is always ready for your support.
Fantastic. Thank you, friends. And I just love the comparison with the gym trainers. So now our gym trainers are going to answer a lot of questions. So I'll just start with Fadia. So Fadia, since we're talking about automating compliance, I'd like to understand from Fadia what compliance automation really means. And what does it mean, especially in the Saudi public sector?
Thank you, sure. Let me start by saying that the compliance landscape is evolving faster than ever with the aid of AI and technology. And these are playing a significant role in this transformation, especially in a rapidly change global risk environment. Automation compliance is not only means the use of AI and technology. In practice, it's standardizing controls and embedding controls into compliance in everyday process and everyday operation with the use of AI and technology to scale the foundation. Today, when we are talking about the automation of compliance in Saudi Arabia, we are talking about a fundamental shift in the operational governance, compliance, and accountability operationalized within the government entities. It means using technology to improve the compliance function and making the compliance activities repeatable, auditable, and less dependent on manual interventions. Without, of course, eliminating the human factor and human role, mainly oversight of the human. This could include unified platforms instead of the traditional spreadsheets, solutions which integrate risk, register, control, testing, and compliance tasks in one place. Regulatory mapping through customized tools that are used to map to the Saudi standardized control, like the National Cybersecurity Authority, SAMA requirements, and others. Automating monitoring of regulatory and policy requirements, and automating monitoring of risk and control effectiveness. It also includes AI integration and process integration, automation connections with existing ERP, HR, finance, and financial systems for full data flow. I would like to give examples of practical examples in Saudi, which is the Saudi Digital Authority. The Saudi Digital Authority today plays a key role in the public sector, focusing on developing standards and standards strategies, developing the strategies and standards for digital governments, overseeing their implementation, measuring their performance, and supporting government entities to enable digital transformation smoothly. in a way that serves the goals of Vision 2030. Another example is the Saudi, for the Saudi government entities are automating GRC by integrating solutions which streamlining compliance with regulations for National Cybersecurity Authority and adopting GRC automation to meet strict regulations and improve the efficiency driven by bodies like SADAYA, which is the Saudi Data and Artificial Intelligence Authority, and regulatory framework like Personal Data Protection Law. Final example I would like to share is what the health sector are doing. Actually, they are automating tools to meet strict health data protection standards, securing patients' records, demonstrating GRC in data-sensitive public sector.
Thank you, Fadia. So, Nishat, I would just ask you, what does compliance automation mean in terms of practice? I mean, just buying a GRC tool or something. So what does it mean?
So that's an excellent question, and then I will connect with Fadia's discussion. Maybe before I answer, I would like to check in the room. In your companies or in any other companies that you have worked with, have you seen automation in regulatory compliance? Means, are there systems to say that these are the laws and regulation that applies to the company? And what are those compliance obligations under it? Who owns it? What are the controls around those? What are the evidences to demonstrate whether those compliances has been complied with? And do we have a mechanism to review and track any exceptions? And this is what automation means for me. When you look at a system that can give you a foolproof operational compliance, means you know what your regulations or obligatory requirements are. You know within the business who is responsible for, and they have a compliance task in terms of the system gives you an option to tell whether have you complied it or not. So this is the automation that we look at it, and it's very important for organization, for the CEO and for the board, for them to certify at one point of time that whether we have complied all the critical regulations. Hence, we need a system around it. So a lot of people try to jump quickly on finding what tool should we use, and that's the pitfall. It's not about getting the technology. It's about making your right operating model. How does this regulatory compliance needs to work in? It's not that you build in these compliances for the compliance function to run. It is the business to own it. So you need to know within the business, with your legal team, to get that buy-in that yes, this is critical and important. We do all those processes that we do, but are we aware of whether these compliances, from which regulation does it appears? What are the system that captures those regulatory changes? And hence, we need to start with preparing those operating model. And just from my practical experience, you can have consultants on board, right? And they will really help you to speed up the design of these frameworks and benchmark you with international regulations. But it is the in-house compliance team who ensures that the project is successful, brings that accountability within the organization. So my suggestion would be, if you plan to go in this track of automating your regulatory compliances, I would say start thinking around the operating model. Do not over-engineer them. Do not try to bring every regulation compliances in your phase one scope, and do not do a heavy lifting in building micro-level obligation registers. You're trying to build everything, so it will become difficult for you to roll out and for people to adopt in.
So well said, Nishat. Absolutely right. So now this question is for Chinar and for Sergey. So now both of you decide. idea of fully automated compliance, is it realistic from a legal and regulatory perspective? And does automating compliance change legal responsibility in any way? Or does accountability remain unchanged? So throw some light on it, please.
Sure. So firstly, I would touch the first question, whether fully automation is realistic or not. So from operational standpoint, fully automation compliance may look attractive, but legally it is not fully realistic. We of course see in our day-to-day execution or work that what human intervention means when it comes to adopting technologies. The technology would help you executing a certain task, but you need to be there as a human in various factors when it comes to interpreting law or regulations, when it comes to assessing the materiality, when it comes to assessing the risk evaluation, or to arrive at a judgment where the scenarios are, a little more riskier or vague, or they are not clear. So these are inherent human functions that needs to support a technology. So fully automation is not realistic in my view. You certainly need human intervention at every, all, or some levels. Let's take a scenario where you are using a technology for clearing compliances. The system will show you some of the clearances when it comes to one particular individual. Let's take you are screening one individual for one jurisdiction. The system will not flag any of the alerts, but you need to assess maybe some timings or behavioral changes which would stop you to screen the individual right away. You will need to assess what risks are involved with one particular individual. In system, maybe it's not showing you any flags, but in reality, there may have some risks associated with it. So it certainly needs human intervention, and we cannot fully rely on automation. So that's what I think about first question. If you would like to have
You
your
want to
views.
cover the second one?
You can,
Sergey?
you can share your views on the first one, or maybe we jump to the second
Right.
one.
No, and thank you very much. And I think this is the first panel when I actually didn't prepare at all. Let's see how it goes, because I'm very sorry for that, because we have a business review this week, and before that we were preparing for that, and so I have big guys in my office right now. So I feel like, okay, so will I be able to actually be on stage and talk about something which I haven't prepared for? But I think, that's just maybe if I can take a step back, right? So we're talking about technology and compliance, and how technology enables us to do compliance, right, or run the business in a compliant way. I think recently I read a very interesting article which was called Compliance Theater. And I think the title of the article was really something which attracted my attention. And when I started reading it, the whole point of the article was basically challenging the status quo, because we are in compliance industry kind of driven by the regulators who are telling us, okay, tell us what are your compliance KPIs, how you measure them, let's say how many trainings people have completed, whatever, all that stuff, right? How many red flags of the transactions you have monitored, whatever, right? How many transactions you reported, because I used to work in the bank and anti-money laundering, so I know like all those requirements and how regulators are looking at that. But anyway, the point of the article was, the bottom line of the article was that does it really drive efficiency, effectiveness of compliance program? Does it really drive change in the behavior? And I think I agree with the author of the article, it does not, or it does not to the extent we would say comfortably that it's actually effective. So I think just to make that separation, right, there are effective compliance programs, and there are compliance programs which are driven by the KPIs, which are set by the regulators, or the expectations made by the regulators. And then going back to the point or the question of the technology and how technology can enable compliance. So I don't know how many, or if there is anyone in the room working for a pharmaceutical industry here.
Do we have someone from the pharmacy?
No, no one, right? You're which company? No, pharmaceutical. Is it pharmaceutical? No, okay, so I'm the only one pharmaceutical. Okay, let me maybe give you an example. Anyone from financial industry? Banks? All right, which industry do we have in the room? Only consultants. It's just only consultants here. Oh my God. Right. No, okay, so I'll just give you an example. We roughly, in my region, we run, and in pharmaceutical industry, this is all about events. We go and speak to the doctors. We cannot promote on the TV because all those prescription products were not allowed by the law. So we have approximately 250 events every year across the region, and that's just one region, right? And then you think about, okay, so those 47 countries where we operate, they have all different, regulations, and then we have to comply with all of that. So then we build that tool, which is called our next level compliance program, which is basically all the regulations for each particular event and for each particular country are in the tool. So as a business owner or as a user of that, you go to the tool, you pick your event, you pick the country where you're going to do that event, you pick the type of the event, and you get all the requirements. Nice, right? So everything is great. But now, we did this study with my team and tried to look how many new different activities our team is doing. Those are really unique activities, like, for example, they're partnering with some guides on the ground, do some digital tools to do this, online doctor, talking to doctors online and all of that. And it comes up with all, different types of questions. How do we manage data? How do we manage privacy? All of that, right? So basically the point is, you can rely on the technology, but to a certain extent. And my big recommendation to all of you, if you are not consultants, obviously, but if you are practitioners, be in the room with the business when they discuss that stuff, right? Because if you're not in the room, if you just rely on your KPIs and tools which you built some time ago, the world is changing so fast, and the business is adapting to the changing world because the competitors are adapting, and that's why they are coming up with new ideas how to reach their clients. And just be wary that your compliance program may be outdated, and that's reality. I don't know if I answered the question. It was a long answer, but I just want to say that because it's really close to my heart, because I always think about how do I add value to the business? Because what is my purpose? Why am I going to work, and why I'm sitting in the business reviews? Because I want to make sure that the business is protected, that the risks which are inevitable are identified proactively and managed proactively, right? And to make it happen, I have to be in the room, I have to understand what the business is doing, and I have to be, I don't know. What's the right
I
word?
completely agree. You know what, when we are talking about it's not just about automation, it is about any procedure for that matter. Once we say we are part of it, we are actually able to contribute to it properly. Very well said. You would like to add up anything, Chinar, to it?
I would like to get back to the second question that you asked, whether automation changes responsibility or not. So what automation does is it creates a support for execution. It necessarily not change accountability or responsibility. When there are regulatory actions, they would not believe whatever you give them as a part of outcomes that the systems has generated. It will definitely come back to you who was responsible. So the individual responsibility does not get eliminated when we are adopting any technology or automation. The compliance obligations often arise from laws or regulations, license conditions. These are the factors what automation is not responsible for. So as I said, whenever any regulatory action happens, the only question they'll ask is who was responsible? Who was the one who has taken decisions? Who was the one agreeing to an outcome when the risks were unclear or when the system did not give you a clear output? There has to be escalation of decisions when you are meeting some challenges. So, of course, the human responsibilities cannot overcome just by relying on the technology.
Very true. You'd like to add up something, Sergey?
Yeah, I just want to add one thing. Yes, responsibility has been there all the time. Fully agree with that. But if you look at the DOJ expectations, for example, they now are expecting compliance officers to use technology. And to make it even more clear for all of you in the room, when they say we expect you to use or leverage compliance technology, they'll come and ask, okay, show me how your business or marketing or commercial is using AI. What technology do they use? What kind of information they are gathering? And they would expect you to have similar level of usage of the technology. If you say, well, yeah, they have all these tools because they're business, they have budgets, they buy those tools and they use these tools to reach clients, the DOJ say, okay, but we also expect you to have the same. If your business colleagues are using it, why you're not using it? So I think that's a very big shift from what we used to have.
No, you're absolutely right. We are talking about automation, we are talking about technology, and the first question that has always come up is, do I become invisible after a technology comes up, or does automation make me actually redundant? No, absolutely no. It is, as Chinar mentioned, the responsibility increases. Since you are the one who are part of the automation, since you are the one who are actually using it, so you have the responsibility. Right. Now, a very interesting thing that Sergey also brought up was about data privacy. So now, Tala, I have a question for you on that. What are the conflicts between AML compliance, that's a very different one, and data privacy compliance, and how legal counsel supported by automated regulatory compliance ensure regulatory readiness?
Thank you for the question. First, I think that legal counsel's role is very important. Legal counsel can build compliance through a compliance by design approach, which means in the case of, for example, of Vaultz, the bank where I work in, it's a financial Canadian institution registered under the MSP, under FinTrack. Let's take the example of onboarding a EU client. What happens in this case? It has to be compliant with PCM LTFA law, that is the money laundering law under the Canadian regulations. And also it has to be compliant with GDPR law, that is the EU data privacy law. And this is a matter that is really important. How to do it? We need to sort the conflicts that appears in case of applying different regulations. We can sort here 5 conflicts, for example, from a practical experience. The first conflict is the collection of data. AML requires collection of data, while GDPR restricted to the minimum under legal purposes. So here a system can help. That is a system that where we collect data on a based risk approach, based on the client. The client is a risky client, we collect more data. The client is not risky client, we collect less data. The second conflict that we can sort out is the retention of data. AML requires retention of data, while GDPR requires deletion of data. So here we can also build a system that is based on, for example, deletion and retention logic, knows when the data has to be kept, when the data has to be deleted. The third conflict that we can sort out is also based on ongoing monitoring. And here comes the question of my fellow panelists also about the human intervention. While AML require ongoing monitoring, GDPR restricted and required human intervention. So here we can say that we can build a system, for example, that has built-in compliance rules, and where we can analyze the human behavior, and when we have an alert or a suspicious activity, an alert can be sent to the MRLO, the Anti-Money Laundering Officer under the institution. Here we can prevent the automated profiling and automated decision-making, and we can preserve the human intervention. We can also sort out the conflict of access to data. AML requires the access to the authorities, for example, while GDPR requires encryption of data. Also here we have to build a system that is end-to-end encrypted. Only permitted person that can have access to the data. The final conflict that we can sort out also from this comparison, we can sort out the conflict of the cross-border transfer of data. GDPR requires, AML requires cross-border transfer of data, while GDPR restrict this transfer, as you know. So here we can build a system that has also built-in compliance rules where we can track the data, where it is going. If it's going to a country where we doesn't have adequacy of protection, as GDPR requires, we need to build a system that has where we can find contractual safeguards, or the system can build the contractual safeguard in case there is no enough protection. So that's quite comparison and how to resolve the conflict when we came across cross-border jurisdictions. Thank you.
So well explained, Tala. Actually, it's such a thin line. It becomes really difficult. How do you actually manage both the sides?
Yes, and here we're managing only 2 laws. Imagine when you have so much more. That is this is where the legal counsel should be present while navigating between the laws across jurisdictions.
Very true. So Nishat, I have a question for you. We're talking about automation, technology. So what do you think, where does AI genuinely add value in compliance automation? And what is the governance needed to keep it defensible for regulators and auditors?
Yes, so I think co-panels have already spoken around AI. So I'll speak again from the regulatory readiness perspective where AI can be used. So normally in compliance function, we can use AI to speed things, so which are very more transactional. It can increase your efficiency, but obviously it can't take decisions. So compliances as compliance officer, we need to take the decisions. We need to have our own judgment. And that's where we need to really ensure that AI is not being used. Because if you make AI as your decision maker, I mean, you would lose your credibility as a compliance officer. So I would, from my experience, I would say we all are using AI, but we need to follow some important guardrails. And some of these would be around ensuring that in case of approval mechanism, you ensure that AI can recommend, but it's the human, it's the compliance officer who reviews those recommendations and say whether this is good to go and sign off on all those recommendations. It is also important as an organization, as part of the ethics and compliance team, we need to ensure that we need to define what AI can do within the organization, what AI can do within those systems, what are the boundaries for them, and what AI should not do. The third guardrail I would say would be around, again, we spoke about data privacy, and then to ensure when we are using AI, you are protecting the personal data within those transactions. So you need to have clear policies around it. What data can go, how do you retain it, how do you protect it, and you are using the AI technology which is approved, has an enterprise license which really protects what you're putting into those AI. And the last and important guardrail I would say would be around ensuring you have the right audit trails. So the system can tell you who reviewed it, who approved it, what was stored. So AI is obviously is important element of our daily life, but it cannot replace our compliance judgment. The human factor is always required. But it is for us to say how do we utilize those AI tools which can increase our efficiency, reduce those conflicts.
So, Fadia, what Nishat said, in continuation with that, I have a question for you. So where technology and AI add value, and where are the cautions required? Because Nishat definitely say we need to have guards around it.
Yeah, sure. It's worth mentioning that from my experience, automation and technology is more efficient and effectiveness when it's support, not substitute. And we know that today technology is adding value through improving the speed of work, the coverage, improving the prioritization, and it can help by reviewing and analyzing and scanning large volume of documents, do the comparison, identify the inconsistencies, and map the regulations, the documentations, the laws, all this documentation into the policies. But definitely in a shorter time, and this definitely supports the staff by reducing the load on the staff and workload. But however, we have to be cautious about the use of AI, because we cannot depend on it. It cannot be used independently for at least regulatory interpretations. We can't depend on the interpretations of the AI. Materiality assessments, enforcement of disciplinary decisions, or exception approvals. These are the limitations because all these, from legal point of view, require reasoning and contextual judgment, and must be defensible before bodies like the auditors, the courts, or regulators. So AI recommend and prioritize, but human must decide and sign off. Automation does not reduce compliance. It is actually, it does not reduce compliance risk, but could amplify it. Amplify it by, if you have weak governance, then this will scale the problem. But always make sure that if you have a strong governance, the automation will definitely strengthen the compliance process in the organization or any entity.
Perfect. Sergey, I think you would like to add up.
Yeah, thank you very much. I want to say three things. One is, I'll quote Ali, I forgot his name. He's a legal director for Microsoft here in IMETA and in Middle East and Africa. And he said, obviously Microsoft produced Copilot, which everybody probably using. And he said, it is called Copilot for a reason, right? So it is a Copilot. So it has to have a pilot to actually...
So well said.
Yeah, so well said. I really like that. That's first thing. Second thing, I want to say that technology, everybody is using technology, and we probably in compliance are, leveraging technology probably less than anybody else in our companies because of the budgets, whatever, right reasons. But the point is that technology which is being created, all the tools, all the Copilot, all the agents which are being created by our stakeholders in the companies, just think about amount of data and how, is there a governance model behind that? Do we know how many apps or agents been created in your company? I don't know. And I don't think anybody knows, but I think that's the thing we need to think about, because it's going to just be more and more of those tools created, and how do we manage them? And the third thing, I just want to give you an example. And this example is about what we did to, from one side, enable the monitoring, because monitoring has to be, in these days, ongoing. We can't say anymore like, okay, we come once in a quarter, pick some samples, we'll do our monitoring like we did in the past. Now with the technology, everybody expects the monitoring is like 24/7, ongoing. And, to make it happen, it's not easy, because to make it happen, you need to have a structured data. To have a structured data, like I told you about those 250 events we have in the region. So you need to have a all those 250 events are documented in the same way, because otherwise your tool, which we created, bot, cannot go and read those things. So then the challenge: how do you sell the business the idea so that they have to change the way they document all of these events? Because we want this in compliance to enable our monitoring. So we come to the business and say, hey, how much time do you spend right now to complete the approval of the event? Okay, that's time. In fact, in India, we have our 70% of our events happening in India. And I'm talking about thousands of events, right? I mean, 200 different types of events, but if you multiply it by the country and by the 12 months, it's like thousands of events. Now, how do we make sure that every event is documented in the same way? You come to the business and say, okay, we know that in the past or currently you're spending 2 days to approve the event. We know that your rejection rate is, let's say, 30%. Now we're going to change that. We're going to go from 2 days to 10 minutes, and your rejection rate will be 5% or less. And we'll do the pilot, and if it works, then you will have to roll it out across the region. And we piloted it, and they said, wow, that's amazing. Compliance comes with the technology, enabling the business to do the business faster. Obviously, we didn't tell them about the idea of monitoring, which will come after that. But that was the whole idea, right? So you need to always think about this strategically and think out of the box. But the point is, technology is really there to enable us and also to help the business to do the right thing faster and more safer.
Very right. So now, so now that actually it brings up a point that it is not about what you are automating, how it is being automated. It is how it is being presented, so that people have the acceptance. So now when you come to that, I have a question. How should it be designed? How should the automation be designed so that it is really helpful, so that you can take cautions, it is good for the regulators? I mean, anyone of you can take the question.
Regarding this question, I might say that there are four persons that has to be integrated in this approach or designed approach. First are the lawyers that need to define the law and explain it and make it more clear. Second are the regulators that will define the risk, how the risk will be monitored, what risk to be monitored. Third, I might say cybersecurity persons that will explain or define how data should be monitored. And at the last is the technician or the technology that puts them all together. And I think that's the perfect design.
Yeah, Nishat, please.
Yeah, so I would agree from Sergey's experience. I think three important aspects. Your automation should help with your speed, the quality, and the assurance. So if you're able to answer regulators from weeks to days or to even hours, that means you have the right automation in place. The terms quality, what data you have available, what is the quality of that data, and how important you can demonstrate that. And the assurance is you should have a system where you can always say that, from a regulatory perspective, I know my obligations. I know who is responsible within the organization. This is the last time that they're certified, that they have complied or not complied, and this is how we track them. So I think these three critical are important areas that we need to look at when we do automation.
I would
You'd
like to add.
Yeah.
So ultimately, it's we, the compliance and legal professionals, who are going to use the system. So we know what kind of expectations we have. So it's very important for us to be involved right at the designing stage rather than being involved at the time of deployment. We know what kind of parameters should be there. We know what factors we need to be configured. So when it comes to having the compliance dashboards results to be used by us, we know what kind of checklist we had at the time of using. So supposingly we need a particular function for review. We need a particular function for escalation. We need a particular function for reviewing the risks when it involves high-risk jurisdictions. So we should be involved at the time of designing rather than being just involved at the time of deployment, so that we ensure that the system has all the predefined functions which are going to be useful when we come at the results.
Perfect. So basically, I noticed two things. One, as Sergey said, that we were asked and there was automation that happened and it actually helped, as Nishat added, yes, that if it was done, that means it was fine, it was being accepted, so everything was fine. And now comes monitoring, as Chinar mentioned, yes, that in monitoring, what is important is not at a later stage. What is important is foundation of any building. Now, if you're just participating from the beginning itself, that makes sense. Okay, now a question for all the gym trainers. What do you think is the future when we are talking about automating compliance, tech, AI, and regulatory readiness? How do you see the future? Who'd like to take the question?
I don't know what gym trained what does it mean actually? I don't know. Am I gym trained? No, okay, I can take this question. I will start from, I think in December or November, I attended Microsoft event, which was all about AI. It was 2 days event, it was virtual, but they had some sessions face-to-face. But those guys, if you think about Microsoft and the companies like them, they think like 5 years from now. They don't live in this world anymore. They're actually creating the world we all gonna live. And it was very interesting. They came up with the term called frontier organizations. What does it mean? Frontier organizations are the organizations which are going to leverage AI better than anybody else. What does this mean? So let's imagine right now in your legal and compliance department, you have, I don't know if it's like, let's say imagine, so if it's like big company with 50,000 employees, 20, 30 billion in revenue, then you will probably have like 300 people in legal and compliance, right? Now, legal guys, especially here and in the US, are very expensive. Very expensive, right? Now, what is the highest cost of any enterprise? Is the cost of employees. Now, everybody, maybe except us, think about how to reduce that cost. Now, there is a tool, there are technology available to reduce that cost. And what they were saying at the Microsoft event, they were saying that in the future, those companies who really understand that, they will start leveraging AI and technology, and where the junior people, less expensive people, will be able to create the work which currently requires the senior person to do. Because think about that, so you need to spend 20 years in the field of legal and compliance to really know what to do. But now your AI agent can give you that information. You don't need to spend the 20 years. Number one. Number two, they were saying that in the future, there will be departments with AI agents, which would be on the org chart, literally. Imagine a day you wake up, go to the office, and you have 6 people in your team, but they all are artificial, they're all AI. And they don't sleep, they don't eat, they don't complain, they don't go on vacation, and they will probably, I don't want to say this, but probably with the time they will be more efficient than we are right now. And they will interact with each other. So one will do the investigations, another one will do the monitoring, another one will do training or communication, all of that stuff. So the point is, and that's probably, I don't know how much time we have for this panel, but I want to finish on something completely different. We think about AI technology and how it's going to enable us, but I think what is really important is the culture. It is because, look, the field of compliance is like, 40, 30 years old. Companies spend billions in implementing compliance program, hiring compliance people, but we see, cases every other day. Every week there's something happens. Why? Because companies run by people, and those people will always find a way to do something which is not compliant because they either don't understand this or they understand it and they bypass the system. Right, and I think that's what we really focus at Boehringer Ingelheim. My title is Compliance and Integrity Officer, and we spend a lot of time on actually talking about the culture. What is the culture of doing the right thing? Because if you have everybody on the same page, and there will be always bad apples, but there will be few and other. But if the majority are on the same page and they really want to work in a company where integrity is paramount, then they will tell you that something is going wrong. And I think that's our biggest leverage. Technology is there, but I don't think technology is going to solve that problem.
True. So it's something like if you teach policing everyone, so you would not have any thieves around.
Okay, going back to your question, I would think that compliance today is only the starting point. What is really required is that what is really required now is gaining the trust of the client and the regulators. And if AI and machine learning enable us to monitor make real-time monitoring and assess third-party risks and all of that, I think that that blockchain would give us the trust and would create this security to give the clients and the regulator trust. So blockchain might give compliance what compliance are trying to prove for years. That is trust. That is evidence. Sorry, based on trust. Oh my God. Yeah, I wanted to say something. Backed by evidence. Sorry, it's trust backed by evidence. So this is what blockchain gives to the compliance field. So yeah, I might think that blockchain will help in the matter of security and trustworthiness and the privacy preserving, all of that. So
perfect. So I'll just open the questions to the audience. Anybody has any questions for our experts? Yeah.
My question is to Tala. You said a practical example, which was a very good practical example. We go through that every day. So where there are more than one jurisdictions involved, we have this legal frameworks which precede one before the other. And then we have this technology that says, okay, data is residing in the US, but it will be processed in India, and it might migrate to ME, or it will go to the UK also, because the data center is physically in Ireland or Dublin. Okay, and we have the business saying, okay, is this the risk worth taking? Like we don't know what to decide on. And there is this compliance function also. So all put together, this has become a regular scenario with emerging technologies or AI, whatever like we are talking right now. What would you best say in situations like this? Like what would you put first, like the law component of it, or the business risk of it, or the technology perspective of it?
Thank you for your question. I would put first the regulatory and the legal compliance needs and requirements. Because when it comes to fines and when you're not legally compliant, the fines will be huge. So the first thing that I need to put is to be legally compliant. Second, the business model. And the third thing that I would do is to make the technology fits them all together. I think this is the best solution. Best approach. Yeah.
Any other question from anyone?
Question for everybody. Are you aware of any ready-made AI-based compliance solutions nowadays?
So when you say compliance, under which area? Because there are a lot of tools. So if you say, if I looked at a tool which is called Legal Fly, and it really helps all the legal function to look at different areas. So I mean, what makes them different is they use an AI to anonymize your data, and then they throw it back to different AI tool and solution, get the solution, get the answer back, then de-anonymize it back, and give you the solution. So it helps you to protect whatever confidential data that you want to do research. The anonymization takes in like microseconds, and it gives you results which, and then again, it can create different agents, as Sergey was talking about. In the future, you will not have compliance executive and help. You'll have all these artificial agents to help you. So it creates different agents for your different functions. So you can automate any legal or compliance requirement that you want AI to do, and these agents will obviously give you those outputs. So it's a very beautiful tool. Maybe if you want to have a quick look at it, it's called Legal Fly.
Anyone else? Any questions? All right. Any one of you would like to add up anything?
Before we end, I would just like to share something which I'm sure everybody would be able to relate to. When you asked about the future, how do we see the future with AI and technology and automation? The only one thing, we all know that not technology is going to replace all of us, but it's absolutely going to affect significantly. If we say that one task requires 100 people now, 90% will do the technology in future, and only 10% will, be there for all of us. So what we all need to make sure how to be a part of those 10% instead of, getting affected by the technology taking it over by 90%. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
That's beautiful. Anybody else would want to add up to that?
I would like to also second my colleagues on the importance of the governance, because when we talk about compliance, it's just ticking the box, and technology today would accelerate and speed up the process and make it more, repeatable and accurate, that compliance is in place. But the most important thing for the success of organization is governance. Governance will not be replaced, because it's the soul and the heartbeat of the organization, because it belongs to people, culture, ethics, the way they perform, the way they understand their duties and their rights, and all these cannot be replaced with machines and technology. So this is important. And I would also conclude by saying that automation and AI is a powerful tool, but still, with the governance, right governance in place, it will definitely be the key thing to happen. But if there is any gaps and any, it will scale the risk and improve, relocate it, but it will always scale it somewhere else. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'd like to thank all my team members and, of course, the audience. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you to our moderator and esteemed panelists for those valuable insights. Now may I request to moderator Ms. Shuchita Singhal. Please present the memento to our esteemed panelist. It's Fadia Mubarak. Please give a big round of applause. Chinar, Jethwani. And Tala, Halawi. Nishat, Rev. It's Sergey, Konov. Now I would like to request to Mr. Fadia Mubarak, please present the memento to Ms. Shuchita Singhal. Thank you. May I have one more request to our esteemed panelists? Please be on a stage so we make a group photo together. Yeah. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, may